Hi everyone, my name is Krishnan. I'm the author of the guitar sight reading series, Songs of the Open Road. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the more challenging rhythms that are used in Book 2. My goal is that by watching this video, those of you that are working out of the book will have all the tools necessary to interpret the complex rhythms used. There are 6 concepts total. For each of them, I'll play an example from the book and spend some time breaking it down. If you're looking to find the book, there are some links in the description below to where you can find books 1 and 2 in the series. Let's take a look at the first concept in the book, which is the dotted quarter. The example we'll be using is Packington's Pound from Unit 1. Here's what it sounds like. Let's break that down. First, let's notice where the beats are in this measure. I'll show them with quarter notes. They are here, here, and here. We can number each one of these beats 1, 2, and 3. Here, I'm making an imaginary line to represent beat 2. If we're feeling the quarter note pulse, the dotted quarter extends this first note slightly past the next beat. I'll play it one more time and notice how the dotted quarter extends past beat 2. Let's be more specific and notice how far past beat 2 the dotted quarter extends. Anytime I'm dealing with a complex rhythm, I find it helpful to think in terms of the smallest note value. Here, our smallest note value is the 8th note. When we divide the beat into smaller units, as we're doing here, we can call it subdivision. This is an important concept that will help us approach many of the rhythms in this book. Let's compare our melody from Packington's Pound to the 8th note subdivision. Going back to our score, we have 3 quarter notes showing each beat. We know that each quarter is made up of 2/8, so I'll write those in below. If each of these beats are 1, 2, and 3, we would count the 8th notes 1 and 2 and 3 and. Notice where the 8th note in our melody lines up with the 8th note subdivision. I'll play it with the metronome set to 8th notes. Hopefully you heard that the 8th note in our melody lines up with this 8th note. We call this 8th note the and of 2. So we've studied this rhythm pretty closely. One last thing I do before playing it on the guitar is to clap the rhythm without the guitar so I can really understand how the rhythm fits into the beat. To do this, I'll count the 8th note subdivision out loud while clapping the rhythm of the first phrase. I'll start with a 1 measure count in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. I'll do it one more time and you can clap along. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now you're ready to play Packington's Pound. Something that helps me as I read along is to subdivide whenever I encounter the dotted quarter. I'm not subdividing the whole time, but when I encounter the dotted rhythm, I think 1 and 2 and 3. So if I were to think out loud, it would go like this. 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3. And 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So to summarize, a dotted quarter is a note that lasts 3 8th notes, and in Packington's Pound, it starts on beat 1 and goes till the and of 2. The next rhythm we'll cover is the 16th note. The first melody that uses this rhythm is in Unit 2 and is called Huckleberry Pie. I'll play it on the guitar with the metronome keeping the quarter note pulse. Before we dive into this rhythm, let's go over ways which we can divide the quarter note beat. In many pieces, the quarter note gets the beat. When this is the case, the beat can be divided evenly into 2 eighth notes like this. If we were to divide each one of these eighth notes in half, we would have 2 16th notes. We'll do this for both of the eighth notes in the beat. All of these lines are equal to 1 beat, so 1 quarter lasts the same as 2 eighth notes, and 2 eighth notes last the same as 4 16th notes. This notation might look a little unusual. That's because these notes are missing beams. In music, we use beams to group together all notes within 1 beat. Since each of these lines equals 1 beat, we can beam them together. 2 eighth notes are beamed like this, and 4 16th notes are beamed like this. Let's study the first phrase of Huckleberry Pie. I'll play it again and we'll go through it, writing the rhythm syllables above the notes. Feel free to write this on your own music as we continue. When we count a group of 16th notes, we start with the beat number, in this case 1, followed by E and A. Next is beat 2, and it's a quarter note, so we'll write 2. For beat 3, we have 3, E, and A, and then beat 4. In the following measure, we have 1, E, and A, 2, E, and A, 3. Now, let's try counting this rhythm. I'll keep a beat on my guitar and speak the rhythm syllables. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. Now, try counting along with me. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. Next, try to keep the beat while counting the rhythm syllables. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. So to summarize, when there are 4 sounds in a beat, we call them 16th notes, and they are counted 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4, etc. Moving on to our next concept, the pickup. A pickup is when a piece starts before the first full measure. The important thing here is that the pickup note is weaker than the downbeat. Imagine a sentence where the emphasis is on the second syllable rather than the first. For example, I wish I could go to the show. The emphasis is on the word wish. The first word of the sentence, I, has the role of leading into this stronger syllable. The relationship between these two syllables is weak to strong. It's the same thing in music. When the first note, or notes, is leading to a stronger one, it is notated as an incomplete measure seen here. This is the song Trout Fishin' from Unit 3. The important thing when reading a pickup is to make it clear that the melody leads into the downbeat. Here's the first phrase. Sometimes a pickup is more than one note. In Simple Gifts, for example, our pickup is 2 eighth notes. The same concept applies here. The pickup leads into the downbeat. Here's the first phrase of Simple Gifts. I'll end this section by mentioning one famous example of a pickup, and that is Hey Jude by the Beatles. I won't try to imitate Paul McCartney because he's the greatest, but I'll put a link in the description below to where you can find it. I highly recommend you listen to it, and if you do, I'm sure you'll recognize the pickup instantly. To summarize, a pickup is an incomplete measure that leads into the downbeat. We always want to play the pickup weaker than the downbeat of the first full measure, which is where the emphasis belongs. Next, we have the concept of syncopation. In a nutshell, syncopation is an accented offbeat. Basically, we are emphasizing notes that don't fall on the beat. Let's do an exercise together. Sometimes when I'm approaching new rhythms, I like to come up with words that mimic the rhythm. One of my teachers, Alan Johnston, would do this kind of thing all the time, where he made up some really goofy sentences that sounded like the rhythms we were learning. It helped me learn and remember some difficult rhythms. The rhythm we're going to approach sounds like this. Turn up the mic. Try saying that along with me. I'll rest 4 beats before starting, and then I'll say it 2 times. Turn up the mic. Turn up the mic. Now I'm going to play it on the open first string. Try playing that phrase along with me. We'll rest 4 beats before starting. There are many different kinds of syncopation, but the one you just heard is what you'll find in the book. This is from Handel's Hallelujah in Unit 4. It sounds like this. The easiest way to think about this rhythm is in terms of long and short notes. Listen to it once more and see if you can count the rhythm using the terms short and long. The rhythm is counted short, long, short, long. I'll count it one more time and you can count along. Short, long, short, long. Try playing it on the guitar with me. We have the notes G sharp on the first string 4th fret and A on the 5th fret. I'll turn on the metronome and play it after 4 beats. Now if you want to get nerdy with it, let's subdivide in 1/8 notes and see where these notes lie. I'll start by writing the 1/8 note subdivision above the staff. Next, I'll label them with their rhythm syllables. 1 and 2 and 3. We can see that our melody lines up with beat 1, the and of 1, the and of 2, and beat 3. We can count this 1 and 3. Notice that there are 2 offbeats in this phrase. An offbeat is when you play on the and of a beat. Here, on the and of 2, we play this offbeat without playing the beat before. To me, this is a very distinctive sound, and this is how I can recognize a syncopation. I'll count it one more time, and you can count along. Here's a 4-beat intro. 1 and 3. So that covers syncopation. It's a compositional device that adds emphasis in places that maybe the listener is not expecting. We typically expect moments of emphasis to occur on the beat, but occasionally, composers like to mix things up and emphasize the offbeats with syncopation. So up until Unit 5 of this book, all of the melodies have been in simple meter. That's where each beat is divided in 2 equal parts. In compound meter, the beat is divided by 3. Let's practice a few rhythms you might find in a compound meter piece. First, we'll practice playing a beat while we hear 3 subdivisions instead of 2. We'll rest 6 eighth notes before playing. Next, let's try another rhythm. Listen first, then you can play along. We'll rest 6 counts before playing. I'll do the same thing and you can play along. Let's put those together and play a more complex rhythm. First, I'll play it. We'll rest 6 counts before starting. Listen to that a few times and then try to play along with me. I'll do it again. Next, let's take a look at an example from the book. This is Nobody's Home from Unit 5. First, let's take a look at the time signature. We are in 6/8 time. As I mentioned earlier, in compound meter, our beat is divided 3 ways. In 6/8 time, each measure consists of 2 groups of 3 eighth notes. It looks like this. Next, I'll write all the eighth notes above the staff so we can see how the rhythm of this melody compares to the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'll count the eighth note beat out loud and clap the rhythm of the melody. I'll start with a 6-beat count in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Try clapping along with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And finally, I'll play this phrase on the guitar. I'll wait 6 beats. Now you're ready to read in compound meter. This is a type of meter that you will encounter in Baroque music, dance, Irish folk songs, and in many other contexts. Lastly, we will go over 2 different patterns made up of 16th notes. The way that I approach 16th notes is pretty much the same regardless of the pattern. So I'll go over my general strategies and will apply them to 2 different patterns. The approach I use involves subdivision, which has been a strong tool for many of the concepts in this video. Let's start with 1 beat of 16th notes. We count this 1, E, and A. From this beat of 4 16th notes, we can remove 1 or more to create different patterns. Let's start by getting rid of the second 16th note. Now we are left with 1 and A. That sounds like this. I'll do that again and you can play along. I'll wait 2 beats before playing. Next, let's remove another 16th note. This time, we'll erase the AND. Now we are left with 1, A. I'll demonstrate 4 beats of this rhythm. I'll do that again so you can play along. We'll rest 2 beats before playing. just played is called a dotted eighth 16th. It is from Unit 6 in a percussive section from a melody called the Indian drum tabla. It's played like this. Our previous rhythm, which went one and a, can be found in Castles of Spain in Unit 8. That melody sounds like this. Anytime I encounter a tricky rhythm, a great strategy is to subdivide by the smallest unit and clap the rhythms. You can do that with any of these 16th note patterns. Count the 16th note subdivision out loud while clapping the rhythm that you see. There are many instances of each of these patterns in the book, and I encourage everyone to continue practicing these rhythms off the guitar as a way of reviewing the concepts. So that's it for this video. I encourage those of you that are working out of the book to spend some time working on your rhythm skills. It's a really important concept, and when you develop a strong sense of rhythm and pulse, it becomes much easier and more enjoyable to play music with others.